Hi team, so I just wanted to revisit a few key definitions from last lesson because there were a few misconceptions in our work that we submitted. So as a reminder, euthanasia means a good or gentle death. So this means you're ending someone's life to end their suffering. So this is our definition of euthanasia. We'll put a box around that. Okay. There are then two forms, we call them, or ways that euthanasia happens. Can you remember one of these now? Right, form here and here. The first form or way this happens is active euthanasia. Can anyone remember what active euthanasia is? Fantastic. It is the taking of deliberate steps to end a person's life. The key word here is deliberate steps. Can you think of an example of active euthanasia? Brilliant. A good example would be lethal injection. In the case of lethal injection, it actively causes a person's life to be ended. The second form or way is what? Brilliant. It's passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia. Can anyone remember how passive euthanasia is different to active euthanasia? Brilliant. It is the allowing a terminally terminally ill person to die by withdrawing medicine. Can you think of an example of passive euthanasia? Brilliant. A good example would be turning off a life support machine. The key difference here is that passive euthanasia is you are withholding medicine Whereas active euthanasia, you are giving something which takes a deliberate step to end a person's life. Passive euthanasia is taking that medicine away so that they might die naturally. Remember that terminally ill means that the illness that the person has is going to kill them eventually. It is the medicine that's keeping them alive. However, it's important to recognise, and this is where one of our misconceptions was, that there are 3 types of active euthanasia. Can anyone remember what one of these types is? Brilliant. The first type is voluntary. And this is when someone asks for euthanasia. So, for example, someone might be ill, terminally ill in hospital, and they might say, I really want to die, my quality of life isn't good enough, I would like euthanasia. The next type is non-voluntary. Okay, and this is when someone is unable to ask for euthanasia, but the family or doctor still use it. For example, in the case of someone who is in a coma, someone who isn't able to ask for it, but would want it anyway. And lastly, you have involuntary. And this is when someone is able to ask, but not given a choice. And this is seen as murder, because someone was able to choose, say yes, say no, but they were given euthanasia anyway, and that's seen as murder. It's important to remember, let me just make sure that's all in focus, that in the UK, passive is legal and active is illegal in the UK. However, active is allowed in some European countries. So just one more time. Euthanasia happens in 2 forms. Active, which is the deliberate steps to end the person's life, and that then has 3 types: voluntary, non-voluntary, and involuntary. And the other form of euthanasia is passive, and this is the allowing a terminally ill person to die by withdrawing medicine, and it is legal in the UK.